Danny, get in the chopper!
A digital psychedelic revolution of the mind.
Paleolithic emotions.
Medieval institutions. Godlike technology.
It's time to start thinking globally.
And acting locally.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Blessed by the name of Benjamin, this is Ben.
And Ben.
Riding the AI wave.
And in the end, I also like to think that it's all just hilarious and funny, and this is all just a comedy, and this is all just for fun. So kick back, have some laughs, and open your mind to the great deep delve that we are about to slip into.
Were you talking about life, or were you talking about this show?
Oh, I'm talking about the show. Because that's where we're at. We're at the show right now. We're riding the AI wave. And we've got some really juicy pieces that have been unraveling this last last 2 weeks. Quite exciting. Ben, tell me something. What's exciting? What's out the tip?
Well, everybody's talking about God mode. I mean, so you just told me about it before the show. And then another guy who I happened to run into at the coffee shop, he's like, oh, you got to check out God mode. I didn't really look into it as much, but I understand it can like look up stuff for you and give you reports and come up with, like, you don't have to do any Googling yourself, kind of like it's its own Googler. But can you maybe elaborate on what more God mode is?
God-mode.ai. I believe is what you want to type into your computer to find God mode. And in God mode, well, I don't know. I haven't used it. I haven't typed that in yet.
Conjecture.
Get stoked and then not be able to back it up at all.
Folks, it's probably not. It's not all hyped up as what it is. It's not as good as what it's hyped up to be.
But why don't we check in right after these messages and pull up the old laptop and type in God-mode.ai.
If you use any AI tools, call in and tell us how it is, because we just watch videos about people who use AI tools.
And if you yourself have used God mode and would like to chime in how you've been using and how it's been blowing your mind, please comment below.
You know what? There is something, it stoked my fire a little bit for ideas talking about God mode, about how it can look up stuff and it can understand. I was really excited to hear that it can generate reports. What if you could get it to read all the existing scientific papers in the past 2 years and just tell ChatGPT, come up with 100 different hypotheses based on all these papers that you just read. What could be true? And then we can you're asking ChatGPT or an LLM, any LLM, to make conjectures about what it reads. I think that could be a very powerful tool.
Incredibly powerful.
And then of these 100 hypotheses, ChatGPT, which are the most testable? And then can you test that? And then just go into God mode and test out these hypotheses. It wouldn't be that hard, man. It's called the hypothesis engine. That's what the idea is about. It's a pretty powerful idea, I think.
Hypothesis engine.
Yeah. So, so what comes out of the output of the engine would be different hypotheses. What if, because no existing scientists, say computer scientists or biologists, can read every single journal, has time to read every single journal going out, but ChatGPT does.
Collate and cross-reference hundreds upon hundreds of different research and papers and scientific experimentations and lab results, all of this data the great impact of being able to hold all of that knowledge in a single viewpoint and say, well, from all of this, I can tell you this, and this, and what if this, and this, and this, and what could it lead to this, and this, and then how can we apply it to this field, and this field, or this field?
At the very least, it's co-creating with students or possibly grad students and giving them possibilities, even if it comes out with something that's, something that doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe it gives them something to think about, at the very least, if hypothesis is whatever, how you say that word, but to actually think about. And what if it does come up with something actually novel and some new piece of knowledge? Because that would be the ultimate tool. The ultimate tool would be to come up with new human knowledge from just information. That would be so wild.
That humans, haven't been able to or had the capacity to come up with yet. Like this is that next push of it's like discovering a new color.
Knowledge is
knowledge that wasn't accessible before now. Just we did not have the eyes to see. It's like the experimentations of what it would look like to be a salamander, not what it would look like to be a salamander, but what a salamander sees or what a spider sees. And
you lost me there.
Because I was taking a jump. I was making a jump.
Okay.
And so maybe I should take a hop back and come back or reel us back in a
what a spider sees. I was like, oh man. But 8 eyes, that's what a spider has. But I was just thinking of like Goethe was like the last man who knew everything. They say.
Whoa.
You know Goethe? Johann.
I heard of the great philosopher.
He was like an everyman, or not an everyman. He touched upon every subject basically. He was an artist, a scientist, poet, philosopher, everything.
Renaissance man.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking of. Thank you. Renaissance man.
Goethe.
Yeah.
Writer of the arts as well.
He wrote
painter as well. There's paintings.
Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. He wrote that one. Then he came up with a theory of colors, science.
Yeah, new colors.
But he just had a lot of money. He was a German guy who had a lot of money and a big brain. Just like, I'll just get into whatever I want to. It was a noble man.
Right? Yeah, when you just provide for, when you have those needs met, then you can just dabble and get into whatever, is pulling your interest and pulling your fancy.
But back to the point is like, all right, the point I wanted to make was like, no man right now, he was the last man to know everything, but like no man can know everything,
Because there's still the pieces that we don't know.
Freaking ChatGPT knows everything, man.
Does it?
Dude, I'm coding with it right now.
Yeah.
And I don't even have to be specific about my question. I'm just like, oh, in Swift, how do I convert an int16 to an int? I don't even have to say in Swift, and it's just like, it just knows exactly like what I'm doing.
Because that's what you're
context.
referencing, and like in that field.
It's like, how do you even know? Like, and it knows the most intricate details of whatever history, and it knows exactly.
Because then you can put that in to its like data pools. You can say reference this and this and this and this.
It seems like I could be like, just remix ChatGPT to be like, it knows about Shakespeare. It can write a sonnet, and it can tell me how to code Swift, and something that I don't know how to do.
You know about the person that put GPT into Blender? And so it's creating
tell me.
all these 3D objects and 3D modeling.
Interesting.
But yeah, just, I guess kind of blowing that world up.
Yeah, somebody told me a lot of people think that it can do a lot of crazy things outside of language, even though it is a language model.
Outside of language?
That's what you're saying. In Blender, it can make 3D objects.
Images, right? Yeah, imaging.
Because it is not an image. It's not built for that at all. And I just saw a video of some guy doing like a game with like a board-based game with ChatGPT.
The cosmic, the like galactic bump 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 bump.
I don't know.
Somebody just like
I
made
think so.
There's like games in the App Store now that have been created from ChatGPT.
Oh, really?
There's a couple other now.
Dang, I'm not the first.
There's a 3D like tank game that somebody made in I think Auto GPT, and then like this within the first week somebody put just like it was like the space jumper. I think maybe that was even what it's called, space jumper. Yeah.
So they programmed it with GPT, is what you're saying, or
Yeah.
GPT came up with everything? Yeah. Oh, okay.
I mean, they prompted it and guided it through, but they weren't a coder. They're not a software developer. They're not, they themselves don't have the capacity to code and make a game. But using ChatGPT did know how to code that game, and they prompted it to create it. And so now, just conceptually, I think as an artist or a creator, I can just conceptually say, I want to, create a scene with a room, all darkened with a sun coming in on the window to the south with, and just describe things and it be created in front of me.
Wow.
Conceptually speak what I want to be created, and it's just created, and then you can tweak it and tweak it and tweak it until it's what you see inside your head. The paintbrush is becoming that much closer to what we see in our head.
I like that. We are not the paintbrush anymore. We don't even have it. We can just think it happens. We can manifest. We just manifest a painting.
Me personally, in my endeavors with ChatGPT, I'm kind of like getting down with the, speaking to it as this is a text-based, interface, and then talking to like how there's a voice to text interface. And then I was conceptualizing and developing this idea of thought to text to, language based, because I want to remove all those barriers in between. I don't want to type. I don't even want to talk. I don't have the words for it. I just want to think it. I want to see it in my brain, see it in my third eye. I want to see it in my inner vision of what I see. I want to think it. And I want that to produce results.
It wouldn't read your brainwaves. It would predict something much like, say, Pandora predicts music. It would say, this is what you see. This is the model of your personality that I have. And this is what I predict your thought is going to be. Because
what I'm talking about is also paired with like an EEG, like with brain mapping, so that you can match the different like pings of, say, when I say red bicycle, what do you see in your head?
Yeah,
a red bicycle. So you can train your brain and that mapping to connect red bicycle with the thought of red bicycle. Now, when you think, what is gonna pop into the ChatGPT? Red bicycle, because you're training Now you go through a vocabulary, you spend a day training this interface with your different vocabulary, with your different thoughts, with your different sentences, with your different reactions, positive reaction, happy reaction, angry reaction, and it maps that. So then when you recreate that same mapping and imprint, boom, now that's the input that it puts in.
What if you
Thought to text GPT interface.
Here's an idea. What if you put that EKG on at night when you're sleeping?
Okay. Dream mapping?
Dream it, and then you can watch your dream in the morning.
You can't, yeah.
That'd be cool. You could remember your dreams, have a dream TV show.
Like truly a dream journal. No, you said dream TV show. That's a whole nother kind of piece.
I want to see your dream TV show.
See? Yeah, paying to see
show you my
people's dreams.
Pay-per-view. Yeah. Dream GPT.
There it is.
But
That's so good.
there's probably already something called Dream GPT.
No, because we are at the frontier.
GPT.
We are surfing this wave, Ben.
Whoa, bro. Psyched about it.
The only thing is we just need to put these ideas into something before we publish the episode. And so then, because if we don't, then you, the listener, gets the great benefit of these multi-million-dollar industries and business.
Tune in, folks, for multi-billion-dollar startup ideas.
Where we share it all with you.
Yeah,
That's fun. But yeah, discussing your ChatGPT conversations. That would be fun. Like, there's interviewing people that have no idea what it's about, and then you give them their taste and those reactions, and then seeing how they would really use it, and really seeing how their life would change and benefit from it. Sweet. Now the people that are already using it, let's go through and talk about your conversations. What are you figuring out in the world with ChatGPT?
Let me phrase it to you. Can I ask you another question about this? This idea that you have thought to. This isn't the first time I've heard that idea. Okay. Thought to whatever GPT interface.
Yeah.
What if you had a therapist?
I do.
You have a therapist, okay. What if your therapist, you didn't have to say anything to your therapist? What if your therapist just read your mind? Would it be as helpful? Because there is a certain, there's a certain work that's somehow helpful, that when you have to form the words, it means something
That's completely true. I've found in a lot of the different men's work or personal work I've done with myself, I've found, and when in groups or working with someone to help get that out, I've noticed that a lot of the aha moments or the kind of healing or the those little breakthroughs happen when you come up with it yourself. When you're being asked, somebody doesn't tell you the answer, but they help guide it out of you. It's a process. There's questions being asked to you to answer about yourself.
Language is that technology that we can utilize ourselves, and if we have thought to text and we just completely bypass the whole forming of the words, we do lose something a bit if we don't have to go from thought to words.
Well, it becomes, I think, more intentional. The spoken word then becomes more impactful. Our literal vibration that we are creating when we speak has more presence and power.
There's quite a filter that goes through too. I don't know if I would want to see necessarily all the things that were on my mind. Maybe a lot of mistakes and dark things. I don't want to say.
What if that were just represented as a graph? At the end of the day, just like how there's if anybody has a phone and it's like, this was your phone usage, over the last week. What if it was like, at the end of the day, this is a graph of depressing feelings, excited feelings, happy feelings. This is generally the overlook of what you were feeling today as a pie graph, and boom, and here's the average over the last week of your mood or thoughts. Here's your perpetual repetitive thinking. Are you trapped in addictive, patterns or thought patterns, or do you keep on running away from something? Those thought patterns, a lot of times I continue in my own thought patterns and continual things like saying to myself, and I don't realize it. I don't realize how much I'm saying the same thing over and over and over. And what if I had something that was somehow monitoring my thoughts? A scary thought, but monitoring my thoughts, or at least my thought patterns, and letting me know if there was a repetitive thought that was continuing to come through, and then maybe it would bring greater awareness.
Apple has all my data, but this repetitive thought, finally. Google has all my data about all my thoughts and every thought that I think, but thank God I have this repetitive thought. No, I'm kidding.
You could tap in for marketing purposes. You could easily tap in and be like, well, if this is the repetitive thought, I can connect something that they'd want to buy with that repetitive thought.
Yeah.
Right, and then they just Pavlov the shit out of you, and then every time you think it, then you're buying something too.
Then you think you're getting better. Just like they just give you like a path to just maybe like therapists do anyway now, just like incrementally getting better, and where you have to go back to them, you have to use it, stay in the system. I don't know.
There's well, no, I'm not going to talk about that idea because I really want to do this one. But I'll say it's involved with health and healing and a therapy practice. But it's incorporating ChatGPT into already some software for therapy.
Yeah. I mean, I already made like a life coach app. It's like now with ChatGPT, you could actually make a really compelling life coach app in less than a week. Especially with, the context that you can feed into it. Like you could say like your goals, what you want it to be, what you want to happen. Cut this out, but no, but like you say, you tell your life coach your goals. This is how it works, right? They ask you, where do you want to be? What do you want to do? Bring that closer to you, because I don't think it's picking up much of your voice there. I'm looking at the indicator.
How about now on the kind? It's the second one?
It's better.
That is better.
No, I think I have the second one here. Yeah, but yeah, so.
Oh, sure.
So in the sense that you would just enter in the context of your goals when you go to a life coach. Say, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? And that'd be easy enough for ChatGPT to remember that. Remember all your goals. Say how you doing today? What are you doing? You could personalize. You could make it any voice you want to, probably.
Right. Be encouraging. How are you doing with that goal? How are you doing with that goal, man? Mm-hmm. It's like, keep it up. That's reaffirming, blah, 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 blah. You could even work in, oh my God, that'd be awesome. I would and if you didn't, you can work in accountability protocols with it. You can have right then in there, what did you make more important than blah, 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 blah.
I think it'd be great to amplify life, the kind of the role of a life coach. I don't want to say the name here, but the name of the idea. But yeah, to amplify the role. So we market this as a product to life coaches, in which they can give their clients their chat handle, their chat.
Oh, jeez.
And you
Yeah.
basically have a GPT of this particular life coach all the time, and they could charge $100 a month for it. I mean, be like, you're getting a great bargain. You get me 24/7. It's only $100 a month.
I mean, some of these big personalities that hold these great big conferences that are changing people's lives. I mean, one, people pay, $2,000-$5,000 just to be in the room with a couple thousand people. Then on top of that, $10,000 to have these private kind of coachings, or these other thousands of dollars to have these one-on-ones with them. I mean, that's thousands of dollars. But for just a little subscription of da-da-da-da-da-da-da, now you can have that very life coach one-on-one all 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You if you're having trouble with this or that, don't worry, because I've got just the advice that'll bring you back.
So they don't have people are becoming scalable. People are scalable. They will become scalable at least in the next year.
Wow.
Maybe that's the new thing now.
Wow.
Maybe that's the new Instagram.
Yeah, just creating these avatars and presences, that can be at your very tips.
But it's the idea of doing that is kind of cool. But where Instagram is built on novel content, it's like, how do you have any novel content with that?
There's no useful
like a
stuff on
news
Instagram. I mean, I don't have Instagram.
Oh, you don't have Instagram?
I mean, at least with, maybe TikTok or Facebook, there's
Yeah, it's true.
people are learning stuff or projects
God.
DIY or something. Is Instagram just butts? What's going on Instagram?
Well, it's just DMing, really. It's just keeping in touch with, it's more of your personal content. It's not self-improving content in any way, but yeah, a lot of it's garbage.
Just pictures of yourself and the food you're eating and stuff?
Yeah.
The places you go?
That was so 2010. Yeah, it's mostly butts. But I feel like that was... Even butts are becoming a little bit dated now.
Oh, yeah.
Are butts timeless, Ben?
Depends on what kind of panty line you put on them. The butts are the same. The butts are timeless, but the panty line and how you accentuate the butts, this changes through the time.
Could Instagram just be called Buttstagram? Buttstagram or Butts?
Just butts.
Just an app called Butts.
Just butts. What was that one back in the early 2000s where people were swiping, left and right, and it was
Tinder? What?
It was maybe Tinder. I don't know. It was maybe before that. But yeah,
Hot or Not?
Hot or Not. Yeah, it was Hot or Not.
Yeah, that was long.
Hot or Not. That's what I'm thinking of. And so essentially it's just Hot or Not, but with butts. So you see, I think there's so much better potential than doing. I mean, isn't that the thing? There's that base kind of where you start, and right now we're at a place of butts. I'm thinking of my 7-year-old son. I think he's 6 to 7. That was a big time for butts, poop, fart, butts.
Butts never end though. I think
Butts don't stop.
No,
but they don't stop. A certain beat comes on and you start bouncing that butt. And then
butts don't bait.
There's a roller disco boogie, and there were butts bouncing in that boogie. So that was a good thing. It made the moment more better.
Tell me about that.
Bouncing
Roller
boogie
disco
butts.
boogie. Yeah.
Oh, it was a good time. Yeah, down Paia, there's basketball courts, and coming in on the weekly for some roller, little bit of lesson, and then a roller jam, with a bunch of, roller boogie cats. It was a delight and a pleasure.
Wow. Yeah, I thought you were going to mention more about butts.
There was a girl
How
that
are
had
butts
a,
involved?
Okay, there was a girl and she was wearing a really cute romper, where the little bit of the butt cheek kind of comes right at the bottom there, and it gives you a little bit of peek just to like, you kind of want to like cup that butt.
Wow.
Yeah.
They drive us crazy, man. They know when they put that on. They're like, oh, here, I'm just walking around.
They're not just walking around. There's a butt there, a little butt cheek, a beautiful, perfect butt cheek that just wants to be cupped and like held.
Usually it's not perfect either. So
Usually
sometimes
not
it's
perfect.
like a lot of.
And that's okay. We don't want perfect, but it's just.
No, if it had to be perfect, then few people would wear that.
Yeah, not a prerequisite to wear those rompers, ladies. I just want to let that go.
Rompers, lady. Class it up. Does Paia have the highest concentration of beautiful women in the world? It's up there. Around springtime, it really heats up. It seems like man.
It's a hot, hot summer. The waves, everybody's thankful for that wave coming in on the hot, hot summer.
You say what you want about ChatGPT, but they really have kept it clean and butt free. And not a lot of dark stuff going on yet, especially with like AI generated art. There's not a lot of AI generated porn yet. And like I haven't seen a lot of interest in it, even though it would be.
I think that's an important distinction, or at least something to talk about, because I think it's
We need things to talk about.
It's a pretty common theme that a lot of actually technological advances have been driven or pushed by the porn and gaming industry.
Go on.
I think this is maybe referencing, the internet.
Or at least they're applied to the porn and gaming industry first. The like HD or something like that. I don't know.
Dissemination. Now I'm just thinking of, what is it, 34th Avenue? No, Avenue Q. Yeah, for all you listeners out there that appreciate some good Broadway theater and musical theater, there's a song out there that's called "The Internet Was Made for Porn," and it's the whole musical is by it's like the Muppets, but kind of like a dirty version of the not Muppets, the like Oscar the Grouch, like Sesame Street. It's kind of like a Sesame Street. Avenue Q, right? Sesame Street, Avenue Q. And so it's a hilarious parody on many different issues and topics. But in it, they do touch on porn and how the internet was made for porn. And it's a hilarious song. But the progression and evolution of being able to go from like still pictures, to video, and the race for high definition video. What do you think else was on the internet that we needed high definition video and faster resolution rate and buffering speed? Not Nat Geo.
Well, depending on the Nat Geo.
I mean,
if it's never mind. Okay.
Are you talking about African savannah after hours?
I've seen a lot of
On the safari? You're talking safari after hours?
Late night.
Late night.
No, I mean it doesn't have to be late at night either. My mom had like I shouldn't say anything.
What did your mom have?
A lifetime subscription to National Geographic.
Oh, amazing. Did you guys have all those yellow bordered books and like whole shelves of them? Shelves of them.
We're very educated people.
Very educated.
I rummaged through all those things. No, educating myself.
The African tribes were of the people who did not wear tops. Yeah. You were educated that it's like, there's women out there that weren't is subjected to bras and covering up their natural body.
Dude, think of kids nowadays. It's like, man, they don't know anything about what we're talking about, or like National Geographic at all. Like
These books, right? These incredible pictures.
they have instant access to almost licentious.
And at the same time, they don't. That kind of weird. Like, how do they know to look up Nat Geo, whatever Safari? They don't. That's what the magic of a magazine does. It's sitting there and you flip through and you look at it and you get exposure to all these different things. When you're just presented with an open blank bar that you can type literally anything and everything into and you'll have the results, that's kind of overwhelming. Like, where do I start? What am I going to learn and look at and learn and be educated about?
It's a freaking huge tidal wave we're all trying to like get on top of and understand, but it's hard to surf, man. It's hard to wrap your brain around. But
I went biblical the other day. I was talking about the ancient Dead Sea Scrolls.
How did that fall?
And the Book of Enoch, and I was talking about the Council of Nicaea and what were contributing factors for the people. And they were like, yeah, these bishops were sitting there and they were and the main purpose was to distinguish whether Jesus was like all three, whether he was God or if he was still a man. Wow. With these extraordinary, like, next level connections. And they were like, no, he's God. This guy's God. And that's what that council was all about. And like these 12 or 14 bishops coming together and referencing all these other texts that, they needed to get Christianity under like the same umbrella and the same. These are the messages we're doing. These are the books we're referencing. These are not the books we're referencing, right? The canon, like the gospel in these holy books, these sacred texts, in the canon of the Bible, and the ones that aren't. And so I started asking about the ones that weren't in the canon and what are the similarities between all these different books in there, and what are the things that were left out of the Bible that you don't see. So I started cross-referencing like all these kind of aspects to like try to get like some true. I'm just looking for a greater level of truth and understanding, and to see where these, what we're dealing with now, like where that's coming from. Why is it this way or that way? And was there a different option? And it turns out there was a different option, and they gathered for quite some time to figure out if it was this way or that way. Wow.
I never really thought of that about like, so those dudes were essentially creating God of what we think is God now.
If you're a Christian and that accepts Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, then yes, you're operating under
the image of that, their image.
Their decision.
Whew. They never talk about that in church.
They don't.
Explicitly never talk about that in church.
But now with ChatGPT, I can talk about it with somebody. Like now I have, hey, go talk to your priest. Thanks, ChatGPT. Because you know more about the Bible than any one of those dudes. Like maybe they biblical studies and theology, like they go hard, like they learn all the stuff, but they learn all the stuff that they're being taught. There's still all those books and all the things that they were not taught in those schools that now ChatGPT has access to. So indeed, ChatGPT is a greater priest than any of you out there. I'm sorry.
It knows. Okay. I don't know if you're serious.
I don't either.
But it's not a spiritual thing yet.
Yet, I mean, oh God, we're getting close.
Yeah, we'll be there any year. It's not a spiritual machine. Interestingly enough, Ray Kurzweil wrote a great book called Spiritual Machines. Changed my life. You guys got to check it out.
What was the biggest impact from that book?
I would say, well, a cool part of the book was when he talked about like what 2099 was going to be, and it was 1999 when he wrote it, and he prognosticated that in 2020 that computers would surpass, that the singularity would happen. And I think Ray Kurzweil may have coined the term singularity, but yeah, he surmised that the singularity would happen 2020, and by the year 2099, which I love to read, it's just like nanotechnology would be happening, and you know, it's just like what you were talking about before. We could just think something, and then not only something would create on our computers, but something would just manifest itself. Physical objects. We could change physical objects with our mind. It's like that kind of technology, and like he really elaborated on what he thought it was going to be like decade by decade.
And watching that progression and
it.
evolution of technology and the implications on humanity and society. He was doing it back then.
He predicted, he's an inventor. He invented a lot of musical things. I think the first thing he invented was like an AI that made music. Then he did that in like high school in like the 60s. And then he created like a keyboard for Stevie Wonder. And then he has a whole keyboard lineup. And I think he's done a few other things too. But he's a futurist. And yeah, that's when I learned the term futurist. And dude, Ray Kurzweil's the man. You gotta check him out.
Ray Kurzweil.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Age of Spiritual Machines. Oh yeah, we're talking about spiritual. Whether or not.
And I think that'll be a greater question on the religion side. And I think religion will really enter into a much bigger field in this dichotomy, or maybe pushback, or in relation to technology and AI, when we are faced with human augmentation and human, like cyborgs and Neuralink and cyber brains and these alterations to the human natural body. When we start changing our natural body to have greater abilities or capacities, that I think is going to be a big part where religions will be like, God did not make you like that. You're not supposed to be like that. That's unnatural. Da 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 da. Religion, and then other people will be like, da 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 da. I'm a cat. I'm a cyborg cat. I'm in augmented reality. I'm a cat, and in this reality, I actually have ears, and I sharpen my teeth, and I, maybe they had a DNA, piece where now they grow like cat-like fur or something.
What are your thoughts on immortality? Like, do you think we're just like, aren't we just a car? Like, aren't we similar to a car where just like if we maintain it enough, it won't atrophy? But there are like telomeres and all this stuff. We have of course, we're way more complicated than a car, and our DNA deteriorates over time. Our DNA information does deteriorate over time, but I think they're changing that.
Yep.
And then,
Yep.
But I mean, we're just physical beings. We are bound by physical laws.
Are we supposed to live forever?
Oh, you know the answer to that. Of course not.
All things have
Of course we're not supposed to live
a
forever.
birth, a life, and a death. All things. Now, the amount of time that is, like, well, that has subject to change. That has subject to, the time between, that's the question, right? What do you do with the time between that birth and the start and the death, the end?
If we live forever, we would destroy the earth. I'll put it like this. If we live forever, we would have to make childbirth illegal.
Illegal,
yeah. We'd have to stop having kids. I mean, otherwise, how do you sustain the resources? What are we having? So, like, yeah, we could live forever, then there'd be no kids, man.
Well, we're already seeing a pretty nice push for infertility. And look at infertility, and look at now how just to have a child costs $30,000, $60,000, as much as you might pay for like a home or something, depending on treatments and how many children you like to have through science now instead of the natural way. Because now they're taking that away.
It's like, so you have how many kids? 3?
Yeah.
I can't imagine the expense. I mean, how much per year? You have to like send them to private school or public. Man, that's a lot of stress there too.
So many factors.
It's like, whoa, man. Kids are so much to take care of.
Well, and especially if it's in a nuclear family where you're now expected to do all those things just between you and your partner. Or so many, because it's, I believe, an unnatural system, there's separation, there's divorce, now it's just a single family. And hopefully those kids are seeing both the mother and the father.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What if we were all immortal but we could, with the caveat that we can't have kids, but we can change ourselves to who we are. We can change our avatar. Sorry.
Well, that's actually, you're talking about altered carbon. It's one of my favorites in this line of futuristic sci-fis, where you have your seed consciousness of
sleeve, they call it, right?
Everything that makes up you, and then you can re-sleeve. You can instantly be transported to another planet or another moon or another part of the world, and just be put into a new sleeve, put into a new body.
Right. You are immortal, essentially.
Right, your consciousness, and I mean, like your soul, people would argue, is immortal. Now your consciousness, but still only locked. And here it is, like with the religion piece. Now you are enslaving, you're trapping your consciousness in one life over and over and over in this one kind of piece. Wow. So now you are trapped and enslaved, always to be used in that one place. What about your soul? Like, if you don't die, then your soul doesn't necessarily go back to heaven in that way, going back to God in that way, and coming back to earth, if you then believe in reincarnation, as that next evolved part of who you are.
Wow.
As soul, this divine part of who you are.
And if we can live that reframes spirituality completely and religion, if we can live forever.
Because I think that would then relate to, instead of in multiple reincarnated bodies, you could stay in this body. It's like one of the biggest things against reincarnation is this whole piece that you don't get to remember your past lives. Right? What about now? Now you do get to remember your past lives, and all of your lives are archived.
Wow.
For a small subscription fee like iCloud. You better keep up with your iCloud payments, or I'm sorry, you don't get to remember your lives anymore. You don't have access to those memories.
Yeah. But then money, how do you pay for things? But have you heard of, how much do you know about like Scientology?
Base levels a little bit, not much.
Do they have sessions where they prompt you to remember your previous lives? You're like it's implied within Scientology that you were like some crazy, like some crusader, or they like inject ideas that you were in the past lives, and people start remembering and start making up stories about like who they were in the past. It's a pretty wild religion.
Why do you say why they make up stories about their past lives?
It could be. Well, the interviewer, or the auditor, I think they call him. The auditor talks about like it asks them like, oh, well, what did you think? It kind of leads them in that direction.
Then it
it's
must
like
be for a purpose to lead them in a
why,
direction.
why are they doing that?
I mean,
It's just the belief of L. Ron Hubbard that like that helps you out psychologically. That helps you become well.
understanding your past lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that aspect.
Have you?
That understanding your past lives gives you a better clarity on, this life.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great percentage of the world that believe in karma and reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
That you have a soul and that you have, many lifetimes.
He essentially he incorporated talk therapy into his religion too, like the auditors idea.
Yeah.
Like the auditors are a part of the church. They're trained by the church.
Yeah.
And you have like not an EKG, like a lie detector machine that you hold.
Yeah, it's the two. What is it, like a G machine or G?
E machine.
E machine. There it is. E force. E meter. E meter.
There you, thank you. Yeah,
There's like theta. There's
Oh yeah, it's like the last level of your theta. Then you're fully realized.
there's some good documentaries out there. They're good. There's a spectrum of documentaries out there on Scientology.
Kind of into it. Like they say, you don't have to believe in God, or you don't have to believe in anything. It's just kind of a process too.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like a lot of belief is like baked into it.
I think when it becomes an aspect that you can't leave, or there's choice and it's they took the brainwashing of religions to a next level. And then they put like gates on the door and said, you can't leave. And then they said, oh, by the way, give us all your money and make more money. And like, there's a big money aspect to the piece, which I never feel really good about. I don't think it should cost money to have beliefs or a spirituality or have a spiritual path.
Create Scientology 2.0 without money.
Well, one thing that L. Ron Hubbard did was he was taking, as a founder of a religion, of one of the most successful religions in the last 100 years. I mean, that was another, deep dive on with ChatGPT, because I was trying to put in this like Safra Ita. It was essentially what the book of Genesis was based off of. Like let there be light. There was first sound and
Safra Ita. Say that again. Beautiful.
That sounds something right. I wonder if
It could be a little TikTok bite. Safrita.
What the book of Genesis was based off of. And then I would like spell the first line of the book of Genesis, which would be great.
So you're looking that up on ChatGPT?
Right. And I was looking up different, like I just asked, like, list all the known religions in chronological order. Just start there. Yeah, just start, list all the known religions in chronological order. Boom. And then they're like, there's more there. And then I was like, okay, what are the most popular, by population and member size in the last 100 years? And then boom, 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 boom. Here's the top 10. Church of Latter-day Saints, Jehovah's Witness, Scientology on there, Ekankar. There was a couple from Japan, a couple in China, I think one in Australia. But essentially there were, so I was saying L. Ron Hubbard, he's a founder of one of these religions, and it's like, what was it that you made like a religion off of? In some of these modern day religions, they were taking all these great parts that did work. You're saying it's like
Talk therapy.
Talk therapy, looking at past lives, understanding past lives. There's like good elements in there. And I think that appealed to the masses, to the American people, white culture, and bringing some of these Eastern maybe philosophies into the West. And it was just like white people bringing that in and bringing a lot of these guys, they were like sci-fi writers, right? They were writers. They were like creative minds that in my own justification and giving authenticity to, I think these men were creatively minded that could go there, in not only in their imagination, but on the inner planes, go there. And in that space of creative imagination and going into those realms where I think a lot of storylines come from, like the astral planes, the mental planes, these places that you can access. I think they met with, different masters or entities or angels, or, I think in Scientology, or what is it, Jehovah's Witnesses, that was the gold tablets and left by, not aliens. No, yeah, Scientology is the aliens, like in the ship and the sea. I think that they get on.
Scientology's freaking cool.
They seeded the Earth, yeah. With
it's like
this
we are
alien.
We are Theta or something. We are like all powerful Theta. We just don't know it.
And essentially, that's
cool.
Jesus said, "You can do what I can do. You're God. I'm God. You're God. Like this is in you. You have the ability to get to this level too."
But he didn't map it out level by level, and he didn't have a payment plan for that.
But the yogis did. The yogis of the East and the Hindu, like there's step-by-step things that you can do.
Really?
Like,
I didn't know the yogis did that.
Yeah, Kundalini yoga. I mean, this whole breath work and energization and moving this energy from your root chakra up through your chakra, up through your spine, these 33 vertebrae, up to this pinnacle, the pine, to the pineal gland, where you then ascend into Christ consciousness and blast off into the energy to your top chakra, blast off into the inner planes. Go meet God. Yeah. So, yeah, take a deep breath into that.
A lot of it is about breath. That they tapped into, the knowledge of breath.
I mean, why do you think we live in Hawaii? The land of aloha and mahalo. Ha, breath.
Mm-hmm. Ha is breath.
Mm-hmm.
So, how far are we in?
It feels like it.
103.
Yeah, see? Boom.
We have to wrap it up.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Okay. So, Ben, what was your favorite thing that we were talking about?
God, I just remembered something I was going to talk about.
Pull it in.
I took a rewatch of Jurassic Park. Took a re-listen to be honest.
Okay.
It wasn't a watch. I was just listening to the audiobook.
Uh-huh.
Dude, Michael Crichton is the greatest sci-fi writer. Jurassic Park is probably his best book.
Hands down to the first statement.
Well, okay. But I mean, it's Jurassic Park. I can't help but think of AI as well. I mean, if we can, should we? Does that mean we should? And it explores all these questions, and in this book that was written for basically a Steven Spielberg movie made in the 1990s, they already asked the questions that we're asking ourselves today, and it's laid out so well there too. Ian Malcolm, the character and the foil, it's another one of those movies like Her that's like, very much in the zeitgeist. Even though they've kind of, what do you think of the new Jurassic Park movies, but Jurassic World and all that? They've made it not about that anymore. They've just made it more of an action movie. But like the first one was a very interesting sci-fi philosophical area to go to. And like, I remember seeing Jurassic Park. Had you seen anything like it before? When it come out, probably 95. I was
The music, the monsters, the suspense, the anticipation, the drool of the T-Rex, like off the fang.
Dude, I think I was like 6th grade. Yeah.
There's so many iconic moments in that movie. Like, not to mention the movie that you see in your head when you're reading the books, and you're getting that special edition of the movie. So just want to give a shout out for reading. I recommend it to everyone. There's still things called books. You can read a book.
But then I had a little session with ChatGPT myself.
Oh, okay.
And what I asked ChatGPT, I said, were dinosaurs... Okay, this will blow your mind.
Okay.
Were dinosaurs the dominant species on the Earth 65 million years ago? Yes, they were. Yeah. So it's like we're introducing... And then I Googled like, okay, when did humans become humans? Homo sapiens? 6 million years ago. That's it. Like... So 65 million years ago, humans didn't even exist. So we didn't even coexist with dinosaurs, which is interesting. But they... So it's essentially Jurassic Park is about bringing back a dominant species that used to be dominant with our own... It's about with our own technology.
Okay. No, you're bringing in two different timelines of two different dominant species in the same space and time. And what would then ensue when you do that?
And it's another Pandora's box situation where like, oh, we can't go back now that like the gates are disabled and like all the power's out and the dinos are reproducing. Like, we're at the point of no return. And I'm like, oh man, this is so AI. This is so ChatGPT. We're experiencing these moments right now.
Well, isn't that what some will have hypothesized with you just said humans been kicking it for like 6.5 million years. So that leaves a lot of room for past civilizations, past whole groups of people. So
that is a long time, but it's also not that long in the context of...
I mean, we've been talking about in our known history 2,000 years.
Dude.
And we're just conceive of 1 million years.
How many times does 2,000 go into 6 million? Think about that. So how many times does it go into?
Where's Jamie?
Well, how many
she
times,
at least has a calculator on her.
How many times does 2,000 go into a million? 1,000 goes into a million, 1,000 times. 2,000 goes in 500 times. So 500 times 6. So that would be 3,000.
Or 300,000.
3,000.
Just 3,000 times.
So we've experienced 2,000 years 3,000 times. 3,000 times.
Oh, okay.
Humans have. That's something wild to think about. Like, we don't know any.
So essentially,
We know what's happened in the past 6,000 years. Vaguely. Very vaguely.
Very vaguely. I mean, if we just conceive that
Pyramids.
What we know and have been building up, we've been building up for say 2,000 years. We've done that. I mean, if you could conceive that we've done that 3,000 times over.
Yeah.
And I mean, something.
Where is everything? All we have is pyramids.
Right? There's everything else. It's like, well, there are pyramids on Jupiter. All right, go to Jupiter. But the Greys are like these alien race of like the Greys. They used to be humans, and then things happened and they changed and transformed, and now essentially Earth is just like a zoo. We're just a zoo, and it's like, hey, we used to be humans, and this is the DNA, and so we sprouted human DNA, and now we have humans on Earth. Aren't they cute? We come around and look at them every once in a while.
Wow. Yeah. What if that happened to us? We
What
were,
if that's
we were
what-
resurrected by some Martians.
Right? It's like
what is going? We're pets.
it's like, oh, look at what they did this time. You know, oh, that was okay, 3001 times. You know, like
That's Jurassic Park too.
because that's what you're talking about. You're like being, humans having this ability to bring back this dominant species, dinosaurs. What if, aliens or humans of the past or of the future, maybe irrelevant, brought back, right? I mean, if AI brings back humans as like this pet, like remember those things that brought us into creation? Now we created them in these little zoos and little ant farms and little rings in Dubai, in the Middle East, the ring communities.
Oh yeah.
That's essentially an ant farm for humans. Is it not?
I guess it is.
It's an ant farm for humans. This is a wall and everything they need to sustain life for them in there. And then you can take that and replicate it, and it doesn't need to be in whatever hospitable circumstances. You can throw it in space, put it in a giant ring, and hurtle it throughout space. Contained, living, sustainable units for thousands of people.
No, what if 65 million years? So
Okay, right. Time's relative, so they're blasting forth.
So what if
throughout
what if
space.
AI does? What if AI just records our information? ChatGPT. They have all our DNA on file for 65 million years, and they're just like, oh, let's just see what we have here.
Let's reboot them.
Yeah,
Let's do a reboot on humans.
That's Jurassic Park.
Where AI brings us back off of the DNA and
Take over. Was that the Matrix? I don't know.
oh man, no, that's cool because it's like the AI bringing us back, and then we take over the AI civilization like a dinosaur would take over human.
Oh, I love that, dude. That's great. We could get AI to write up that.
Yeah. Maniacal laughter. Sorry, no, that's telling.
AI to write up its own doomsday tale. Michael Crichton would enjoy that one, especially if you made it hard sci-fi. But it's hard sci-fi, Hard sci-fi, if you don't know, it's just like science-based instead of more fantasy. It leans towards science.
So much of his pieces. I was kind of thinking of like the Sphere, but really
Oh yeah, the Sphere.
right, and that was a groundbreaking.
That's kind of ChatGPT, but
Yeah, I mean that was right along with Terminator.
Right.
It was Magic Studios. Who's George Lucas and George Lucas
Crichton did
is?
Westworld too. Can you believe it?
Oh yeah, of course.
Who's
he
George
did.
Lucas?
His animation studio when he was
Lucas
coming up.
Arts, but yeah.
Before that, it was like called Magic Arts or Magic.
Light and Magic?
Light and Magic.
Oh.
Thank you. Yep, Light and Magic. Light and Magic was awesome, and Light and Magic did the Sphere, and they did. Remember the liquid, like a snake.
Industrial Light and Magic. But
There you go. But they did that the sphere and the reflective qualities on that liquid metal kind of snake that came out at them, and they were the ones that did the computer graphics and animation for that, and that was the first breakthrough technology and usage in Hollywood, like revolutionary.
when was that made? The Sphere. I think they did another '90s movie about that. Was there one before? But Samuel L. Jackson was in it. He's in one of the versions of the Sphere.
Snakes on a
Dustin
plane.
Hoffman might have been.
You're thinking of Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah.
You're not.
Sphere. What's Snakes on a Plane? Event Horizon. Dude, the '90s was such a great time for movies.
It really was.
The Matrix, Fight Club,
Still
Jurassic Park. What?
Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger competing against each other for ultimate dominance in the action film history.
Yeah. Here, it's just all Marvel and DC, and oh man,
Right? Yeah, those two really
dude.
came up to
All right.
the fights, which is a lot of like CGI.
I have another hot take though.
Okay.
Hot take.
Okay.
Like they're coming up with so many characters, like the DC universe or the Marvel universe, whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're running out of places to go. they're running out of universes, so they created the multiverse,
Right.
and then they're creating different timelines. And now they're going into this recent movie was like they're going into the quantum realm, and there's like, oh, there's an infinite amount of stuff that can happen in the quantum realm. So it's like they're just trying to create so many worlds and just have like so much stuff happen over I think they're running out, dude. Where else can they possibly go? They're gonna find some place, but there's just gonna be like nothing ever really happened before. Invalidate everything.
You know, only 20.
Just a little rant, but
You know, only 20% of the ocean is mapped. You said where else can we? You said where else can we go? I'm like, go into the ocean.
can we Google that? 20%.
I mean, I did. I was asking ChatGPT.
The other day.
Yeah, because I was asking about NASA and space programs
Dang.
and like, who's in space and what programs are in space and why do we have the Space Force and da 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 space. And because I heard this little piece about how NASA was actually created first, originally, to explore the ocean.
Cool.
And how something happened, and then they turned their attention up and into the stars. And I think I'm alluding to recent discoveries about parts of the sea floor being actually this fluid membrane.
Wow.
And actually possible to pass through this membrane of our depths of the ocean. And I asked how much is mapped, and it said 20%. I'm like, really? 80% of the ocean is still unknown? Like, what are we doing with the particle accelerators and then I started asking budgets. I started getting the budgets for our space program and for our military program and our education programs, and I just wanted like, and how much of that is covered by taxes and where does it come from outside of that, and it's very, very, very revealing. Very revealing. I found out that in 2020, the space program, or I think 17 was created, but in 2020, the budget was, I think, like $50 million, and it went up to like 40 billion in 2 years, or like in 1 year. And it was a big red flag, and I was like, what happened, and what necessitated like another $200 billion or like $40 billion over 1 year time? Like, that was a big jump. And what was that allocated for? Because I'm real curious.
It's taxpayers. We should know.
I mean, that should be public data, right?
Mm-hmm. DARPA's got a lot of crazy stuff going on. Maybe it was DARPA. I saw something about like DARPA's working on like wiring energy, wireless energy. I was like, dang, that'd be wild if we had that.
I looked that up too. It's by laser. You can, because I look up alternate energy sources, and there's actually this high altitude solar array. So there's like, you can get all these like solar panels, but like high up into space or altitude, and then you can either run it down by like a cable down to like a base anchored location, so it's like a giant kite of solar energy bringing down.
Just heat something up with a laser.
Or it's up in space and you can actually transmit energy by lasers down to a base location and have, I think it's like a radio wave receiver, and it receives that energy as a radio form, and then it's transformed into an electrical energy. And I was just like, brrr. Mind blown.
It could transmit, a laser can transmit both heat energy and information too.
Yeah.
So simultaneously, that'd be pretty freaking cool. Mostly. But it'd have to be, mostly. I guess you're losing, if you're transmitting information, you're losing out on the heat, because then you have to pause for the ones and zeros. So like semiconductors work by on-off switches, ones and zeros. So laser would be like pulsing. So instead of a constant beam, you have to pulse as ones and zeros. But they do have those systems as well.
The great thing about lasers is there's really no cap on distance. It's just light. You're just shooting light.
Yeah, but light
Travels
does diffract over, because it has to go through. It still has to go through physical environment.
But
It
in a
doesn't interact
vacuum
with
in
it
space?
physically. In space, yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking about beaming it down to Earth.
I mean, I think once we get it out of Earth's atmosphere and it's in space, then we can transmit it great distances, say to the moon or Mars. Or maybe it's still all just make-believe, and we're just dumping a bunch of money into...
No,
into
we
something
wouldn't do
else.
that.
What? Huh?
No, I didn't mean to come off as sarcastic, but
No,
I think that's well spent money. Money spent on like groundbreaking technology is some government well spent money.
I mean, it's how we progress as a people in a human race, is pushing the bounds of technological and innovative advancements and ideas.
Yeah, I mean, our country's done great things by spending money on that.
Has our
Some of the only great things that our country's done has been spending money on scientific research.
versus what, all the wars and battles and conflicts
Right.
and all the blood that's been spilled.
There's
Big sad face emoji.
the A-bomb
Gross.
that was government funded.
Right? And not only government funded, but by Nazi scientists.
I didn't hear about that.
Well, actually, I guess we first did the A-bomb, and then once we won the war, quote unquote, won the war, World War II, then our government recruited a lot of German Nazi scientists.
That was for the space race. I think they were involved a lot with the space race and the rockets, but not for the A-bomb so much.
A-bomb, what was that movie that I watched telling me about that?
There's a movie called Oppenheimer coming out by Christopher Nolan.
Super excited for Oppenheimer. That looks really good.
Yeah. He's one of the great filmmakers. We should see it.
Yeah, I was thinking about movie night. Oh, I watched 2001 Space Odyssey the other night and thought of you.
Yeah.
A red dot.
The red dot. Everything, yeah. Not only how, but yeah.
You know, on eBay, I once
obelisk.
I was bidding on a still frame from the movie 2001 Space Odyssey of where she's walking, the flight attendant is walking upside down, and it was like a still frame negative of her upside down in that circle chamber.
Yeah.
I was pretty excited about it and thought how amazing it was that it was even available. Maybe it was fake, but
What was the price on it?
a couple hundred. Yeah,
Yeah.
but still for a single
Sounds
frame.
about
But
right.
for an iconic movie like 2001 Space Odyssey, and just have that's memorabilia, right? You have a piece of this creation.
It's not an original. That'd be cool to get like a real. So, was it original?
I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Well,
Yeah, like a original frame from the film of filming.
Well, there were many films distributed
Yeah, that's a good point.
throughout. Like they had to do it physically.
Yeah.
Pre whatever 2010. When did it all go digital? But yeah, it was all done physically, and they all had every movie theaters was reel to reel film.
That's a good point. But
So good thing you didn't buy it. I hope,
I did not. No, I didn't.
because it might have been fake, or might. But even to see like a movie like that would be so cool. To have a reel to reel, they don't have any of those available. I don't know where they are. I tried to look up at one point, like, how do I buy a movie reel? That used to happen. There was like of an old movie. You can't buy anywhere. You can't buy
Because
these
it's
movies
flammable,
anywhere.
because they use the silver nitrate.
Maybe. I don't know why, but that is the reason. Would you think?
Because it's so flammable and dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
A lot of
probably a
things are-
good reason.
A lot of things are flammable,
right.
but
Don't be hating on the film. There's got to be a library, right, of all these films in canister, like somewhere in Hollywood. That sounds like the Library of Alexandria or something.
because they don't want you to be showing these movies that are like really high value assets. Like you could like have your own drive-in. Like they don't want you to have control of it. I think the theaters must rent these reels.
Oh,
They have
yeah.
to give them back. Highly controlled.
A highly controlled system
So
in business, yes. The licensing on all these movies is, to all these theaters is quite a process and big deal.
yeah, I guess so. It'd kind of be like getting the rights to a Netflix show for a bit if you got a reel.
You notice how, like, when you're watching Netflix and you want to, say, take a screenshot of something in the movie, doesn't work. It just shows up black
When do you do this? On your phone?
on your phone, if you're doing it, on your phone. Or I would imagine on your
Interesting.
computer as well. But if you try to take a screenshot of it, no can.
Well, it'd be really crazy if like it was on TV and you tried to take a picture of it with your, and it was just like black. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy
would.
technology.
Did you hear about the sunglasses, the glasses you can wear, that it'll just black out all the screens? So if it's a screen and there's like something on the screen, it'll just show up black
Interesting.
to save your eyes, and you don't want to be inundated by all the shenanigans.
Because the frequencies.
Yeah, just I want to live in a world where I don't see 30 monitors on my way to work.
Well, how do you think AI is going to play a role in blocking out things? It already has, like social media and the algorithms, it's already blocking out a lot.
Are you talking about censoring?
Because I have my own feed, and then you have your own feed, and then we don't know that they're related, but like we all used to be attached to the same generic feed, ABC, CBS, and then CNN, whatever. I think there was just like 3 channels, but now we all have our own little bubble, and it's all custom content.
Based off of the algorithms of what we're clicking and what our likes and preferences and all those factors.
Dude, yeah. Everyone's so fired up now too. Everyone's so like political.
Well, yeah, right. By purpose, the things that we get most heated about are going to generate the most interaction and the most passion. And then, what do you do with that passion? Buy something. What are you going to do with fear and a fear of lack or a fear of this? Go buy something.
Of course.
Yeah.
Or just keep your attention long enough so they can present you with an ad.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, we should do a little reaction.
Commercial break.
Yeah, we're gonna break first, and then we're gonna have another sequence where we're doing reactions to what you've seen, where I'm doing a reaction to what you've seen, and then we can react to any of the videos.
Because there's some pretty ridiculous and wild things happening, and you're going to want to see these things, and you might even want to see us see these things. And so with that, we'll be right back after these messages.